All right, guys, welcome to the live stream. We're going to get started completely in about maybe less than a minute or so. As you guys have heard, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are going to fight once again for the second time, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, we're going to talk about the intricacies of why this fight is happening, but also we're going to talk about how this fight could potentially go. He said that the volume is low. Okay, how about now? How's the volume right now? Uh, can't beat you well. Can't hear you well. Okay, can't hear you well. Okay, let's take a look at this. So right here, real quick. Okay, let's test the volume out right now. How about now? Okay, let's test. Is it better now? Probably a little bit better. Okay, good. Okay, so let's see. I guess we can start this stream a little bit, a few minutes above, so maybe around 5 minute mark or so. Okay, so we are in the 3 minute mark right now with this live stream. So we will start in about 5 minutes or so. In the meantime, let's do a little bit of a pre-talk, man. How are you, Victory, man? How's the weather going on out in Ohio right now? I know that there's a huge snowstorm going on in the East Coast right now, right? A lot of my friends who are still in the East Coast are sort of showing me all of that. So for those of you that have tapped in, you are now in the beginning stages of the live stream. We will start in exactly 1 minute and 10 seconds from now. So just a little bit of a pre-fight talk or a little bit of a pre-stream amble and what have you. And yeah, we're going to talk about Floyd and Manny Pacquiao and why they have going on. He says, good, brother. It got down into the single digits again. Wow, man, yeah. That is one thing that I don't miss about the East Coast and the Midwest. Obviously, their weather patterns are a little bit similar, although not as bad in the Midwest in comparison to, let's say, Texas when it comes to hurricanes and tornadoes and things of that nature, right? So 30 seconds, we're going to start the stream, and then we're going to get this thing cracking on in the break of dawn right here. So, all right, we have 20 seconds. Joey the King says, hi. Hello, Joey. How are you, my man? Let me know what part of the world you are from. I think this is the first time that I've seen you here. And here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so here we go. Shout outs to Victory. Shout outs to Joey the King. Shout outs to Jackie Baker. He says, how are you? Good. Let me know what part of the world you are from. And Joey the King says he is from New Jersey. Awesome. So you guys are here today because obviously we're going to talk about Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather and the implications that sort of are making this fight happen. And it's quite simple. They're both broke, okay? And there's good reasons. And there's two opposite reasons why both of them are broke. Mayweather is a greedy man, doesn't know how to deal with his finances, constantly spends just profusely, and that is why he's in the position that he's at. On top of that, he's a very arrogant man, and at some point, Allah was going to humble him, and here we are. Okay, so Jackie Baker says from NYC, welcome, welcome. I hope that you are doing well. Obviously, there's a blizzard going on in the East Coast right now, as I had mentioned. So that is one side of Floyd Mayweather, right? The other side of Manny Pacquiao, okay, he's a very generous man. And quite frankly, I think this is sort of the problem that Manny Pacquiao is dealing with right now, okay? Now, look, I'm about to say something very controversial regarding this particular fight, okay? And I think that I think that it's warranted, okay? But if you don't think so, you are more than welcome to tell me why. But this is an unpopular opinion, okay? It goes like this. Floyd and Manny are fighting because they need more money, okay? That's really what it comes down to. Floyd spends money trying to keep up with a rapper's image, and it's no wonder that his whore-ass daughter got played by rapper NBA Youngboy. He thought kissing Israel's ass would relieve him of his debts, okay? Floyd may kiss the ass of the Jews, but certainly can't manage his money like the Jews, okay? Because the Jews are quite frankly the best at managing money, and we know this for a fact, right? Well, on the other hand, Manny needs money for multitudes of reasons. One of them is because he needs to go buy his wife more purses. She needs to go have more plastic surgery because she looks like an absolute plastic surgery looking type of thing, right? I mean, like her whole entire face, her whole entire skin, right? She whitens up her skin, which is weird in and of itself. But anyways, he also needs money because he's trying to help the Philippines. And quite frankly, none of it helped because Filipinos around the world are still domestic workers for Arabs in the Gulf states, okay? And quite frankly, Manny at this point of his career is a glorified domestic worker for Turkey El-Sheikh, which, by the way, is his Arab boss that he works for now. Okay, so Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are nothing more than belly dancers and domestic workers for rich elite Arabs. And that's really what it comes down to. So he says, yo, what is this live about? We are a mixed martial arts channel. We cover all types of combat sports from MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling. And we also talk about politics, which, by the way, sort of lends me into the conversation of Manny Pacquiao and the politics that he sort of deals with, right? So obviously, Manny Pacquiao does a very good job of giving charity to the Philippines, but quite frankly, it's not doing him any good. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm obviously saying this, out of pure entertainment, out of pure speculation, out of my own opinions and my own desires and whims, and I could be wrong. Okay, but I will tell you, among the two, I think it is Floyd Mayweather that needs this the most. And it brings me to this particular conversation of Floyd Mayweather, which goes something like this, right? Floyd is a very arrogant man. And more than once in your life, you see a lot of people that get humbled by their arrogance. But there was a point where you never saw that from Floyd Mayweather. You thought that he had it all going on. Next thing you know, he has this fight with Conor McGregor. After his post-boxing career or post-pro boxing career, he's getting in there with influencers. He's getting in there with Japanese kickboxers. He's getting in there with Korean K-pop stars. At least that was Manny Pacquiao, obviously. That was Manny Pacquiao doing an exhibition. So basically emulating the same thing that Floyd Mayweather is doing. So you think Floyd Mayweather got it going on. He flosses money. He shows you his car collections, right? He looks like a GTA character, right? If you ever have bought houses in GTA or apartments or garages, you often will collect a slew of cars and then put them in a garage, and then you would display them, right? And you've seen some of my GTA car collections that I've showed you guys when you were here. But the point of the matter is that at some point, Allah is going to humble you when you are an arrogant man. And it seemed far-fetched to see that happen to Floyd Mayweather, but it has now come to the attention that that is what's going on. You see, 50 Cent brought up something about Floyd Mayweather that a lot of people don't know about, right? Especially people of a certain community, right? They just think that Floyd has it going on. They just think that because, Floyd is, rich, that he's going to be forever rich. Little do they know, this is a man who, quite frankly, can't read. This is a man who, by the way, yes, he has the money in the world to hire help, to hire accountants, to hire financial advisors. But you also have to understand, these financial advisors are not his family members, right? They are cutthroat businessmen who will cut themselves into that deal into the detriment of Floyd Mayweather. And that's the reality of the situation. So now everything is coming to light, right? I think this is my humble opinion. He says, Floyd must have talked poorly about Muslims. Are you saying that I'm saying this because of the vitriol that I'm going at Floyd Mayweather? He says, can't read Quran Volume 2 incoming. What exactly do you mean by that? Look, here's the thing, right? You actually don't have to know how to read the Quran, okay? And the reason for that, look at the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was an illiterate man. Now, there's a purpose and a reason why Allah had chosen an illiterate man to be a messenger of God, And the reason for that is because, well, he's an illiterate man, and it shows you that the Quran can be easily memorized, and indicative of people around the world who are known as Hafizes, who have memorized the entire Quran, to the point that if the Quran was to burn, every single copy of the Quran was to burn in the world, there would still be a reproduction of it, because the Quran is in the hearts of Muslims, at least true Muslims, right? Khabib has memorized the whole entire Quran. Okay, I've known people in the Middle East, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, people who come from Muslim convert backgrounds who have memorized the Quran, because Allah made the Quran a miracle to the way that, you know what, you don't have to read in order for you to memorize it, but you do have to understand its translation if you are not an Arabic speaker, because otherwise you have to know and understand what the Word of God is. But the Arabic language is just used as a language to preserve the Quran so that it is not perverted or changed in any kind of way. But we're not here to talk about theology or religion or anything like that. But when we're talking about reading, we are here to basically talk about why Floyd Mayweather is in shambles right now, because he can't read. Fresh Melon Juice says both are far from broke. Their wealth places them among the richest boxers ever. Well, I want you to understand this, Fresh Melon Juice, right? So this probably is a lot more towards Manny Pacquiao, I'm sorry, Floyd Mayweather, than it is towards Manny Pacquiao. Okay, I want you to take a look at the expenses that Floyd Mayweather has. He's got a slew of bodyguards around him. How much do you think that cost? And do you think that money just grows on trees, that he could pay 10 men, 20 men, 100 men, no matter, depending on the amount of people that are in his security forces, depending on the amount of people that he hires as a personal chef, as a personal nutritionist? All of this costs. How about your private jet pilots? All of this costs. Do you understand how much pilots make? Right? So when you understand how much pilots make, and you understand the type of trips that Floyd Mayweather takes around the world, you would realize that, this guy is spending a whole lot more money than you would like to believe. Okay, so also here's another thing. Why is it that he had a hard time paying his rent in these apartment complexes that he was living in? This is indicative of 50 Cent and what he has brought to light in ways to try and humiliate Floyd, because that's 50 Cent in a nutshell, right? And by the way, that is why 50 Cent is one of my favorite rappers, because if he wants to humiliate you, if he wants to destroy you, he's going to do it at the fullest extent. I mean, speaking of people getting locked out of their apartments, how about Jim Jones in the recent news, right? He was caught on camera trying to kick down the door of his apartment complex that he was locked out of. I believe it was a studio apartment, right? He used it as a studio for his podcasting, right? Because he had he rented out a place where he could podcast, so he wasn't able to pay rent. So what did the landlord do? He locked him out. What did 50 Cent do in the process, because he has such vitriol hatred for Jim Jones? He bought the building. He bought the building to spite that man. This is the type of person 50 Cent is. And by the way, I have to be very apologetic about a news that I had brought up about Ja Rule, right? I stand corrected and I say that Ja Rule was actually standing his ground, okay? And I think that the biasness that I have towards 50 Cent, I think the biasness that I have towards 50 Cent really clouded me with that. And I think it's important to sort of bring that up, right? Because you know what, as human beings, we all have our own biasness, right? I grew up listening to 50 Cent, training to his music, and quite frankly, maybe even hurting people to his music, okay? Like, 50 Cent is somebody that I grew up with, even though I never met the guy, even though I don't know the guy personally. He is somewhat of a personal hero of mine, and you know what? He is as spiteful as they come, so you gotta love that about him. Fresh said, do you see Rampage ditch Bear? Wow, okay, so he ditched Bear, so does that mean Bear is no longer in the Jackson podcast? Great. So put TJ Dillashaw in there. I've been saying that for a long time, and Once again, maybe that's my biasness talking, right? I want to get Bear up out of there and then just have TJ in there because I think that TJ and Rampage have a better dynamic anyway than Bear, and Bear is just this annoying voice that, oh, Bear owns the Jackson podcast. Oh my God, man. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, man. Rampage Jackson is not exactly smart enough to own his own podcast, but that's really what it comes down to, right? He's just a personality. That's just what it really comes down to, right? It's sort of like what I did with Daniel Hamid, right? Zayn asked me, and by the way, if you want to know the beef between Zayn and Daniel Hamid, it's because Daniel Hamid trains with Amir Khan. Okay, I don't know if you guys know that, but yeah, it kind of explains a lot, right? You know what I mean? He trains with Amir Khan. And Amir Khan and Hamza Shiraz, by the way, a boxer that Zayn Musa Boxing is definitely tied into. He said something about Hamza Shiraz, right? And so Daniel Hamid tries to throw himself in there and tries to diss, Hamza Shiraz, and obviously Zayn's not going to take that lying down. So guess what happens, right? He goes and he disses Hamza Shiraz, and as a result of that, yeah, we lit him up on that case. So, anyways, Zayn asked me, why are you even talking about this guy? Why are you even giving him the time of day? This is what I said to Zayn, and this, by the way, relates to the Jackson podcast, right? I said to Zayn, you know what? Daniel Hamid is a very intriguing person, whether you like it or not. Okay, he doesn't have to be our friend. He doesn't have to be our homie or anything like that. He doesn't got to be our mate. He don't got to be our mate, bruv. You know what I mean? But the lad knows how to market himself, and rightfully he does. He knows how to sell tickets. In the white collar boxing matches that he had people come out in droves to watch him. So he knows how to bring people. Here's the thing: he doesn't know how to promote himself. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it for him. I'm going to promote him, whether it's a negative or positive way. And yeah, man, I'm going to use him basically as as a way, as a character in this universe of Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA channel and this community that we have going on. Obviously, I brought him in. I talked smack about him. You guys were basically provoking me to get into a fight with him, and it was great because you guys were chanting USA, USA, yet we're both Muslim lads, and he's a British lad, but obviously I'm an American guy, and so you guys were cheering USA, USA, and that's exactly what I wanted to do, and that's not something that that Daniel Hamid would think of in the fly. But on any regards, he says, I also think he got really annoyed with Bear, and rightfully so. Yeah, Bear is he's a weird guy. He's sort of annoying, and I'm very surprised that he owns that he owns a Jackson podcast, considering that that's not even his name. He says, yeah, I think so. Fresh. He said he's making tons on Kick. Okay. So now that we preface that, let's get to the satisfying downfall of Floyd Mayweather. Let's take a look at this.
Today, to report to you that I'm incredibly disappointed in one of my all-time favorite fighters, my brother, Floyd Money Mayweather.
He doesn't have any money. Imagine going from being the most paid athlete on earth to becoming broke and in trouble, all just in a few years.
Oh my goodness, so
Yeah, see you in the courtroom. Congrats, you're going to prison, Floyd.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, listen, I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't think he's going to go to prison to any degree, but it is weird that he was not able to pay Logan Paul, which, by the way, this was the early stages of realizing, you know what, man, Floyd Mayweather is going broke. How is it that he's not able to pay Logan Paul? What is going on with that? And then he gaslights everyone into saying, well, I still get money or, receive money from my fights from Miguel Cotto or fights from Sugar Shane Mosley and things of that nature, right? You just got to wait or this and that. And, the reality is he wasn't able to pay him. Right? Floyd is a typical, scumbag that you can't do business with. I mean, just look at the people that he tries to affiliate himself with, and I don't even want to, go there in that case, right? Jackson is Bear's father. jewelry company. Oh, okay. Bear is a rich kid buying his friends. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that would absolutely make a lot of sense, right? He's the guy that got brought in the hood to basically, you know, he thinks he's the hood trophy, but in reality, he's just the financier of the hood, if not anything, you know, the guy that's getting exploited and getting extorted. But anyways,
Yeah, that's the story of Floyd Money Mayweather, aka Mr. The Best Ever, aka Mr. Money Don't Make Me, I Make Money.
Money don't make me, I make money.
But hey, was Mayweather
but hey, why can't you pay your rent?
truly making all that money? And how come there's suddenly news about him going broke all over the media? Well, you are about to witness the story about how a mixture of reckless spending, a super flashy lifestyle, and a couple of poor financial decisions can ruin even one of the richest athletes ever.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that.
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
Oh, and you definitely heard that right. This man here once earned much more than any other athlete in the world, with fights like the one he had with Pacquiao, earning him $250 million, and the one he had with McGregor, earning him a whopping $300 million. In fact, Mayweather made over $1 billion from fights he had in his career. And if we are being honest, like really honest, he truly had a good one. However, it wasn't just about the paydays from his fights for his boxing legend. No. It was much more.
I still got all my buildings in New York City. I got over 100 cars paid for. I got 30 houses paid for. I own strip.
Okay, first of all, man, you do not deserve to have the California love playing in the background for you whatsoever, man. Tupac would have been ashamed of you.
Clubs, hookah lounges. I got champagne. I got vape pens. I got betting sites. I own hotels. The list goes.
Of course you have betting sites. You're a degenerate. You're a typical degenerate of a man, so of course you're going to have betting sites.
On and on.
And that's exactly how things started taking a downhill turn for him. You see, Floyd cared more about leading a flashy, extravagant lifestyle and the illusion of unending wealth in his control than he cared about any other legacy. He wanted to be seen as the man who controlled all the wealth, and he would often take drastic actions or make boastful comments to ensure everyone gets that.
Oh, I got a bag back there.
Can you bring it up here? Where's the money? Let's see how much he's carrying. He's got a backpack with the money. Is it in a wallet?
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I hate when dudes, especially in the hood, I hate when dudes bring out cash. Victory says, that's funny. I didn't know you didn't like him. You want to, yo, listen. You want to know where this started? Okay, first of all, in 2015, when he first fought Manny Pacquiao, I went to a house, okay, with Filipinos in there watching the fight. You want to know what I was wearing? I was wearing a TMT shirt in a house full of Filipinos that were supporting Floyd Mayweather. You understand? So, did I always not like him? Or is it that recently I just started to not like him? And I think you know why. I think you know why. Okay? But I don't want to say it because I don't want to turn into Kanye West. Enough said. I think you know what I mean. He says, yeah, he's not Muslim, Vic. Well, it's more than that. You know what? Like, I don't think that has anything to do with that. Look, Terrence Crawford is not Muslim, but he's my favorite boxer, right? Terrence Crawford is not Muslim, but he's my favorite boxer. Now, what's the difference? Well, here's the difference. Terrence Crawford goes to Africa. He goes and helps poor, destituted kids in Africa. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather gets up on the stage of APAC and he says, anybody got a problem with the Jews? You got a problem with me. Little man, you are a little man. Do you understand? You're a little man, okay? Without your bodyguards, you ain't nothing. The average mixed martial arts fighter who's in a gym somewhere in Ohio or in Texas or in Alaska, right? Guys that are even smaller than you, guys that are the size of Demetrius Johnson would beat your ass. Okay, like the last thing that those people need is you having their back because you couldn't do anything for them. Oh, yeah, anybody that got a problem with them, they got a problem with me. And then these idiots in the crowd were like, yay, Floyd Mayweather is on our side. Shut the F up, bro. So there it is, man. And, you know, and I'll tell you this, Manny Pacquiao isn't any better, bro. He's not any better. That guy is the biggest phony ever. You know, I know that people have this, you know, love and epiphany for Manny Pacquiao, but the reality is anybody that has a wife who looks like a plastic, you know, doll, right? Somebody who purposely whitens her skin, somebody who gets a nose job, can't be a real person. I'm sorry, but you can't be a real person if you're with a woman like that. You are a stereotypical, uh, superficial type of person. And it is no wonder why you're coming back to fight, because you need to go buy her more purses. So don't think that I'm just attacking Floyd here on this one. I'm attacking Manny Pacquiao as well. So he says, I don't get it. You live in a country run by the people you hate, Kyrie, just so you can make money and have a nice life with material things. That ain't got nothing to do with anything. You know, listen, whatever it is that I have obtained in this world, you know, has nothing to do with, you know, the boys, okay? It has nothing to do with the boys at all. Okay, absolutely nothing to do with them at all. And Victory says, dang, Manny too. Oh, man, listen, look, I'll tell you this, right? I got a lot of homies that are Filipino. Obviously, you know, 8th Street is full of Filipinos in Stockton, right? And they love Manny Pacquiao, but at the same time, you know, I have my opinion, they have theirs, and I think I'm sort of starting to lean them. Because look, here's the thing, right? Manny Pacquiao ain't got nothing in common with Filipino Americans. I'm going to just say that out loud right now, okay? Manny Pacquiao has nothing in common with Filipino Americans, and I get it. Filipino Americans love him because, quite frankly, there's not a lot of Filipino American stars in the world of professional fighting, unless, of course, you are Robbie Lawler, right? Robbie Lawler is part Filipino, right? He's of Irish descent, you know, white American Irish descent, and he's half Filipino. That's indicative of, you know, why he has you know, the type of features that he does. You know, obviously you look at Robbie Lawler, he's not fully white, but Robbie Lawler is retired, right? Brendan Vera, I believe, is still active. I believe he's still a heavyweight contender in but what I'm saying is that there's not a lot of Filipino Americans that are you know, professional fighters. Joshua Van is not really Filipino, but you know, him being of Asian descent, you know, I guess you could put him in that category, but not Filipino, right? So look, here's the thing. If you're Filipino American, you grew up in a way different culture than Manny Pacquiao. He says, uh-oh, he's starting to code switch again. There it is. He says, of course you know some Filipinos. LOL. I mean, listen, by the way, speaking of which, on the product section of my description, you guys can buy an Atlanta Braves hat from New Era, and I get commissions off of it. So there it is, right? I got sponsorship by the Atlanta Braves hat. Now, you're probably wondering why Atlanta Braves, right? Well, I'm going to just say there's an A on it, so that should give you some indication as to why they had decided to pick me as, or pick themselves as my official sponsor. But yeah, go buy an Atlanta Braves hat, and yeah, you know, I'm sure all the Filipinos in 8th Street are going to do that as well, because they know exactly what that means. But anyways, it sure does. You fill their pockets with taxes, consumption, instead of building up a Muslim country. Well, there's some truth to that, but one can argue and say that, number one, Muslim countries don't need my help. They don't need your help. They don't need anyone's help. They have oil money. They have money generating from pilgrims who are making Hajj, you know, to Mecca. Also, Saudi Arabia is now, you know, a tourist destination due to the fights that they throw out there, right? So there's that. Also, if you're talking about other Muslim countries outside of Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other, you know, really hardline Sunni countries, a lot of them are ran by dictators, right? So anywhere you go in the world, you're helping somebody with some sort of nefarious intentions. So there you have it, right? Okay, so Going back to Manny Pacquiao, right? Manny Pacquiao has a completely different experience than Filipino Americans who grew up in California, Filipino Americans who grew up in New Jersey, completely different. In fact, I will say, here's the thing that I will say about Filipinos, right? They are way more attached to the black culture than they are with the white culture. And I think fresh off the boat, Filipinos are way more attached to the white culture, even though they really have no understanding or idea of white culture. They just, quite frankly, worship white people to the point where, you know, they try to be like them. And whereas with Filipino Americans, you know, they're American. They grew up here. They grew up in urban city environments. So therefore, they're a lot more attached towards the black, you know, communities, the Hispanic communities, than they are with, let's say, you know, white culture, which, you know, quite frankly, a lot of fresh off the boat Filipinos really try and to emulate. And Manny Pacquiao is no different than that, right? That is why Manny Pacquiao is a hero to many white fighting sports fans. Okay, they see him as the guy that's going to beat up Adrian Broner, the guy that's going to beat up Keith Thurman. Okay, the guy that's going to beat up these black thugs. Let me just be honest about it, right? That is what white America wants to see out of Manny Pacquiao. They want to see Manny Pacquiao beat up these black thugs, and Floyd Mayweather is no exception to that reality and perception. Fresh Melendry says, just admit it. You love your enemies have built. You love their culture. Even gangster rap was founded by an enemy of yours. Listen, I know what you're saying with that, right? I get what you're saying with the whole thing about, you know, oh, the Jews created gangster rap or this and that. I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I'm going to tell you why. Just because you capitalize off of being a record exec, by the way, that's no different of what Arabs do, okay? There's a lot of Arabs in the rap industry. Do you realize that? The only problem is that the Jews dominate because the Jews have always known where to go when it comes to money, power, and leverage. Take, for example, in the 1930s, Jews were not allowed to swim in Miami Beach, okay? In South Miami Beach, they were not allowed there. Guess what the Jews did? They bought South Miami Beach, and now they banned Andrew Tate. Now they banned Sneeko. Now they banned Myron Gaines. They banned all these people that were singing that Kanye song at that party because they owned South Miami Beach, and that was where it was done, by the way, right? They were basically singing that song right there. He says, nothing becomes mainstream without them because they call the shots. Okay, that's true, but here's the thing. Modern gangster rap is not mainstream. Okay, it's not. It's not mainstream at all. The type of rap that I listen to, literally only people that listen to that kind of rap are people that are gang members. Okay, there's nobody in, it's not like back in the days, right? Back then, gangster rap, things that sounded like Tupac, Dre, Snoop, you could add Biggie Smalls into that mix. All of that, even P. Diddy, right? You could add that, right? That was mainstream back in days. Gangster rap today is not mainstream. It's not. In fact, if you're a gangster rapper, let's say you're Blueface, right? You have to create catchy songs in order for you to be in the mainstream. Now, Blueface comes from a Crip neighborhood. A lot of his music is gang affiliated derivative, but at the same time, he has to conform to the mainstream world to the point where people forget that he's a gang member, to the point where people forget that Cardi B, by the way, the B, a lot of you don't know, but the B stands for blood. She's a full-pledged blood gang member out of New York, right? And a lot of people don't know that, but she had to adjust her music. Does she make music that's sort of gang affiliated? Yes, she does. She's done songs with K Flock, right? Where there was a lot of gang type of, you know, content behind it. She did songs with Blueface, Tatiana. That's a gang song, right? It's a gang song that has a mainstream following to it, but if you listen to the West Coast whistles behind it and all of that, it's gang music to the max. He says, it's me, your friend, you listen to Diddy. I actually don't. I actually don't like Diddy at all. You know, I'm Team Tupac more than anything. So yeah, I'm definitely not a listener of you know, of Diddy. But yeah, you're right. Other than that, they do call mainstream into everything. Look at the song that Kanye has made, right? That very controversial song that they're throwing Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate under the bus for, right? If you look at that song and you hear the song, it sounds like a very generic song that you would hear on the radio that has mainstream appeal to it. Now, what happened? What happened in that process? Well, unfortunately, he decided to put certain lyrics that were not favorable towards those people, and as a result, here it is. They decided they were going to cancel him based on that. But had he not written that song in the lyrical content that he has on it, let's say if he was to make that song and make it about, I don't know, driving Ferraris down Sunset Boulevard, right? That would have been a hit song. There's a formula to hit songs, and Kanye knows how to do that, yet he created that same formula and used it as a weapon against his quote-unquote enemies. Fresh says, everything you consume puts money into your enemy's bank, everything. Fresh Mellinger says, you love them, you're in the Matrix, and you love it. That's what broke people say. I'm sorry to tell you that, Fresh. And I hate to make this about a class thing or get classes on you, but that's really what it is. Oh, yeah, you're in the Matrix now or this and that, right? Do you know how many people called me, right? People that, that I know in real life, they called me and they said, the minute that I got monetized by YouTube, right? They said, oh, man, I don't know about your channel, man. Now every time I go on, I gotta listen to all these ads or this and that. I'm like, well, fool, that's what gets me, extra points. That's what gets me extra revenue, when you watch, the ads, right? You know what I mean? So what do you mean? Oh, you're not real anymore. You sold out because, this, that, and the other. Right. I sold out. Yet here's MMA Guru, who not only has had been monetized for a long time, but on top of that has sponsorships with gamblers, with gambling sites. So, I mean, this idea of the Matrix, you're in the Matrix or this and that, this is just, broke language people. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. And I don't mean to sound, really Floyd Mayweather about it, but, really though, that's really what it is. That's really what it is if you think about it. So it's broke people language. I'm sorry. When you make excuses as to why the other person is doing better than you, it's because, let's be honest about this, right? Come on, man. It's broke people language. So that's what it comes down to. And look, and here's another thing too, right? There are certain reservations that I need you to understand. I was in the car business at some point, right? I left the car business because they did nothing but sell riba to people, sell interest to people. So as great as the money that comes out of that business, I had to leave it because it was contrasting of my Islamic principles. And here's the thing about it, right? You can never claim Allah has blessed you if you make haram money. The arrogance, by the way, of some Muslims who own liquor stores. On top of that, I know Muslims that own porn shops, okay, act like their haram money is wealth that is favored from Allah. It is not. Allah would still have given you wealth through halal means had you exhausted all of your options. Maybe if you decided to go to school, maybe if you decided to take up a certain career that would catapult you into that next phase. And that's exactly what I did. I went from the car business and finishing college and then moving on to the next venture of my life. So these Muslim brothers who own liquor stores should be ashamed of themselves. As a Muslim male with no mustache and a beard, I could never claim to be a baller while I corrupt the hood and marginalized communities with liquor, right? Obviously, the arrogance of these Muslim brothers who wish to be westernized, I am not one of them. But if you want to believe that, that is on you because, let's be honest, right? There is the language of broke losers, and that's just what broke losers say whenever they see somebody do something positive for themselves. They say, well, you're in the Matrix or this and that. Guys, listen. Everywhere there is, right, there is some sort of nefarious act that deals with, the money that you make. The thing is, you can minimize it by having some sort of principles. As I told you, I'll never own a liquor store, right? I could go own a liquor store if I wanted. Why would I want to do that? I don't own porn shops, certainly not. I'm not going to ask gambling websites to, sponsor me in any kind of way. I'm not going to go back to the car business, no matter how lucrative it was. And by the way, one thing that I hated about it, aside from all of those things, was just the long work hours that dealt with that, and and then the bullshit that you have to deal with when people don't want to pay up. But luckily for me, if you don't want to pay up, guess what? I'm not the type that calls the police. So you know exactly what's going to happen if you, let's say, were missed out on your car payments or missed out on your monthly, payments on your car. I mean, yeah, listen, there's a reason why there's a lot of guys that ask me to go do repo jobs for them across Sacramento. And I'm not even an official repo guy. I'm just a guy that is good at violence and will use that to my ability if I need to accomplish my goal. He says money is wealth for a Muslim. What do you mean by that? He says, can we ask Allah to deposit? Okay, yeah, and then you retracted your statement because you're a coward. Wisdom is mine. I mean, I don't know why you decided to write something and then you go and you erase it. I guess you just felt ashamed of yourself. But that's really what it is. A lot of you, who talk smack, who speak bad about others who are doing better than you, yeah, you should feel ashamed of yourself, right? So, in other words, man, everything that I'm saying about Floyd has nothing to do with hate. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's rich or, this, that, and the other, or because he has more money than X, Y, and Z. I don't care about all that. There's a good reason why I'm going at Floyd, and there's also a good reason why I'm going at Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was a supporter of President Duarte, who went out and killed people, just for smoking weed in the streets, and people who, got caught with drugs, and then did all types of horrible things that were basically war crimes or just crimes against humanity, and he supported that man. So there's other reasons why, I don't like both of them. Fresh says, speak bad about others. LOL, you're hating on people on this channel all the time. LOL. I don't know about that, man. Hating on people, to what extent? I don't hate Floyd because he has money. I don't hate, I only hate people based on ideological differences, okay, even tribal differences, maybe, right? But I don't go out of my way to go, okay, I don't want to speak on that, but let me just say that, I don't go out of my way to create division. Okay, if I create division or if I create some sort of strife in some kind of way, it is because I don't ideologically agree with that person. And, quite frankly, that has nothing to do with, that person doing better than me or this and that. A lot of you, though, here's the thing. A lot of you who hate on me on the chat, a lot of it is because you are, I don't want to say you're jealous, but because you don't know me from a can of paint. You don't know what I have going on. Maybe some of you have a hint of an idea of what I got going on. But for those of you that don't, yeah, you don't know me from a can of paint, so you just come in here, you say things like, oh, look at your beard, or, look at this terrorist, or let's, call ICE on this dude, or this, that, and the other. The reason why you do that is because, number one, you don't even have $5,000 in your bank account. You got your check engine lights on. You got bills piling up. So therefore, you see all of this strife that's going on in your life. You come into this chat, take it out on me just to feel better about yourself. When in reality, after all of that is said and done, and after I reminded you that you don't have $5,000 in your bank account, you got your check engine lights on, you got your debt piling up, you got all types of appliance issues going on in your house, and then you realize, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have time in the world to come in here and talk smack to this guy. There it is. He says, you created a live stream and started trashing two hardworking boxers, saying they are broke. Okay, so that's a very good point. That is a very good point, Fresh, okay? That is a very good point. Let me rephrase that, right? The type of broke that Floyd Mayweather is and the type of broke that Manny Pacquiao is different from the type of broke that you guys have. Okay, completely different. And let me explain why. Floyd Mayweather may be broke, but he can still flash a whole bunch of cash out of his backpack, right? Throw some money out in the air, throw it to a bunch of, harem strippers or whatever it is that he does, right? He can still afford to have a personal, a personal pilot to fly him around the world. but he also has financial issues as well. So broke to him is different from broke to you. You guys are broke in a way where you don't even have $5,000 in your bank account. Floyd Mayweather can throw $5,000 at a stripper in one night, and that's something a lot of you deviant, perverted idiots wish you could do. And a lot of you are tricks on top of that, because if some of you had money, that's how you would try to lead yourself into, attracting a woman or trying to find, some sort of lifelong partner. Oh, look at me, I'm rich, so come pay attention to me, come ride with me, baby, this and that. Where what you should be doing is, if you have, any type of wealth and you're single, what you should do is pretend that you're broke so that you can see who really likes you for you. Rather, a lot of these guys lead with money, and Floyd Mayweather is no different than that. Floyd Mayweather is no longer Pretty Boy Floyd from the 1990s. Okay, he's getting old, and on top of that, not that that's wrong or anything, but if you look at the type of women he goes for, it's usually younger women, right? And I don't know about you, but as a 40-year-old man, right, I would not feel right being around somebody that can't even name a Tupac song, because that's how old you are and that's how young you are in comparison to those generations. Sounds like Floyd's financial check engine light is on. There you go. That's really what it is. His financial check engine light is on, when in reality, a lot of you who hate on me in the comment section, your real check engine light is on. Okay, you got appliance issues going on. You got all types of things going on. You can't pay your debt. And then on top of that, your kids look at you like you're a loser because you can't provide anything. Imagine that. Okay, so that's the reality of it. So if you want to talk smack about me, that's what I'm going to throw back at you, because I know for a fact that the majority of Americans are broke. That's just indicative of the modern times that's happening right now. And, and that's that. You see a guy like me, I talk in confidence. I talk like I got no problems in the world, because the truth is I don't. At least not the same type of problems that you do. Anyways, let's get back to this Floyd Mayweather reaction right now. He says, Kyrie talking his ish today. Who poked the beast? Oh, nobody, bro. I'm just being honest about, a lot of things, right? I'm just being honest about a lot of things, and I think that, some things just need to be brought to light, and this is every day. This is every day. This is how I operate in my real life, right? It's just so happens that when you guys catch me online, or when you guys catch me talking to you guys, it's usually because of, X, Y, and Z, right? Because I just want to focus on, let's say, talking about the fights, or talking about a particular fighter, or a news article that deals with fighting or geopolitics. And so I kind of stay neutral in, in my temperament and my approach to these things. But this one, it's a little bit different, because I am bringing up things that need to be said, and I think that it is important that you guys hear it. So there it is. He says, you worship Mammon, that's sad. Who exactly is that? Who exactly is Mammon, and what do you mean by that? Is that supposed to be, Mammon, is that something that sort of deals with money, or this and that? He says, he went from dress blues to dressing in blue. Please leave Kyrie alone, for he pulls out the sacrament. Yeah, more like Stockton, but, obviously within the same region. In fact, in Sacramento, believe it or not, I have more blood allies in Sacramento than I do on the blue side of things, right? Stockton is more of, the blue team for me, whereas out here, I'm heavily protected by, people from the B team. So, Jermaine Taylor, you guys remember Jermaine Taylor, right? I brought him in here, as when him and Zane were talking about the Terrence Crawford fight. You guys accused Jermaine Taylor of thinking that Zane was racist because Zane was going for Canelo, if you guys remember. That guy is what do you call it? He's a full-pledged, you know what I mean? His family comes from that. And so I usually trust guys that come from families who, come from that life, because I know that there's low susceptibility of them ever betraying their family, especially if all of their family is part of that life. So, there's the strategic reasoning behind that. But yeah, man, shout out to Jermaine Taylor, my homie, right? My nephew, you know what I mean? The dude calls me Unc. So, there you go. And, he comes from one of the most dangerous sections of Sacramento. So if you want to try and trip, you better pull out that clip, because I'm really down with this. Anyways,
No, he's not even lying, yo. Are you serious? Okay, so I'll take 100.
Look at this stupid ass, bimbo over here. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's so much money. Oh my God. Listen, do you realize that what Floyd has right there in his hands, right? The majority of people who are in middle class environments have that in their bank account. And then there's this, Marty, get rid of this Skippy idiot, right? Throw him into the shadow realm. All right, we're not here to talk about, disgusting toilet talks, you filthy infidel of a thing, Skippy, whatever your name is, right? Get this freaking infidel up out of here. You filthy infidel. You filthy infidel. You filthy infidel of a thing. Why would you even joke about that? Huh? I told you, man, we're not down with those types of jokes, man. Get this dude out of here. Throw him into the shadow realm right now, man. Somebody who's a moderator, throw this guy into the shadow realm. I'm gonna have to do it, man. I'm getting you up out of here. You are up out of here for 24 hours. There it is, man. Come back tomorrow and be a better person, you idiot. He says Floyd is like a toaster. They only notice him when the bread comes out. Ooh, bang! Those some bars right there, man. Are you sure you're from Atlanta and not New York, man? Those are some like New York style bars that you just threw at me right now, man. But anyways, man, yeah, look at this idiot of a thing right here, this dumb bimbo. Look at her like, oh, money, stupid ass. Anyways.
Or a pile.
From splurging extravagantly on wristwatches and other jewelry to buying multiple luxury mansions and cars, this guy was all over the place, splashing money in millions. And here's the real kicker. He once boasted of owning an $18 million wristwatch. Oh.
Most expensive watch that I currently own is 18 million. One watch. One watch.
But then, here's one thing about leading
Grant Cardone. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, he did, that little bid with Grant Cardone. Okay.
this kind of extravagant and flashy lifestyle. The problems often find their way to your doorstep sooner or later. Now, from issues with the IRS to crypto scam cases, an alleged fake housing investment claim, and multiple unpaid debt settlement cases, these problems already seem to be knocking at the money man's door. And Floyd Mayweather's big exotic empire just seems to be finally crumbling.
Ladies and gentlemen, chaos broke out. And I'm not talking about legit, bona fide boxing, pure boxing chaos. I'm talking about the kind of stuff that's just embarrassing.
Here's
And you know what's... oh, man, we're going to get to 50 Cent. Hell yeah, yes, we're going to get to 50 Cent. And you know, whenever 50 Cent is involved with anything, somebody is going to supremely get roasted, okay? And I'm saying supremely, you know, as a cryptic language. For those that know exactly what I'm talking about. Floyd Mayweather has to pay people to like him. Exactly, bro. Listen, bro, I've seen fat dudes in the hood, right, who are drug dealers, right? And I'm not going to mention any names or whatever, obviously, because that's not my business for them to, but put it like this, right? The minute they come across some money, all of a sudden they meet, you know, a girl and they're like, yeah, baby, look at me. I got all this money or this and that. That's what they lead with. Obviously, they lead with that because they're, you know, fat asses who don't want, who can't reproduce with anybody. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to marry them. Nobody wants to have their kids. So they pull out a little money, and then these stupid bimbos fall for it because they think that a man with money is somehow going to, you know, change your life or somehow provide for them or this, that, and the other. But in reality, they lead with money because they really have nothing else. Whereas if you really got it going on, the best thing that you should do is act broke. Okay, kind of like what Terry Silver did in the Cobra Kai, I'm sorry, not Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid 3 series, rather. What did he do? This is what homie did. What he did was he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to drive a modest car, okay? Because I'm going to fool Daniel LaRusso into thinking I'm this, you know, modest, you know, gym owner that doesn't own this mansion, that doesn't own all of these things. I'm just going to, you know, basically make him think that I am this guy. That's what you need to do. You need to be Terry Silver if you want to approach people, right? Because you want to know if people are really down for you or not, right? That's what you got to do. But I don't know. That's just me. Other people like to lead with money, and if that's the case, and if you feel better that way, then do so. But or you're only going to attract fake people around your life.
Definitely where the story gets even more interesting. Come on. The shady real estate claims. Early in the year 2025, Mayweather came out in what was supposed to be a power move to announce that he had just acquired over 60 apartment units in New York, and that the total of houses he owned in the city was now at about 100 units.
I purchased 62 apartment buildings in New York City. And what I need you guys to do, slide over and check out the photos. It's not all 62 buildings, it's a few buildings, but guess what? All the buildings belong to me.
Of course, this announcement was supposed to impress people and position Floyd as a serious investor in the real estate industry. However, something else also happened. Reporters from Business Insiders did a little digging into the claim, and what they found was absolutely shocking. According to the investigations, it was revealed that there was no transaction of such...
I'm sure the hair transplant was not a lot, man. I'm sure that was not the thing that dented his whole entire financial, process, right? But obviously, some things keep digging and digging, and they accumulate, right? But that was just a small portion of it.
Such nature was Mayweather's name in the New York property records. Instead, the majority ownership of the properties in question was owned by Black Spruce Management. The New York City Housing Partnership also said they were not informed of such large-scale transfer of property ownership or intending sales in the city. So there's definitely something fishy going on.
I'll tell you what's fishy here, right? Floyd Mayweather reminds me of Conor McGregor, right? And I can see why Conor McGregor is being compared to him at the time when they had fought each other, right? He said that he is the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, or this, that, and the other. It kind of makes sense, right? What they both have in common is they like to create a perception of power. What does Conor McGregor do? He says something to the extent of, you do what you're told. You do what you're told. Yeah, you do what you're told. You're going to get in that sauna and you're going to burn. Now you're going to do what you're told. That's what he likes to make it seem like he's the boss of everything. Now, maybe in BKFC, he is the boss to a certain extent. But by the end of the day, it's still owned primarily by David Feldman, even though he does have close proximity to him in ways that he could somehow influence him. And that's, that's just one thing. But Floyd Mayweather is the same thing. He makes it seem like he owns everything, or this, that, and the other. He makes it seem like he owns PBC boxing, when in reality it was owned by Al Heyman. This is just what they do. They make it seem like they own stuff so that they can create a perception of power. That's just what it really comes down to. You know what it reminds me of, right? It reminds me of these gung-ho, Karen-like employees that work at Walmart or Target, right? They go out of their way. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now, right? If I see a group of youths or a group of people that go and rob Walmart, and let's say I worked at Walmart or Target, right? I would not go after them. No way. Not a chance in heck, right? I'm not going to go out there and use my martial arts skills, my tactical training, just to go and risk my life over a bunch of kids that are destitute, that are trying to come up on, X, Y, and Z products that they steal from the store. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. Because, number one, I don't own the store. I'm not going to act like I own the store. Now, these Karen type of employees that you see in Target and Walmart that I described, they act as if they really own the store. For example, if you got caught shoplifting and then they throw you in that little room where people, are talking to the security guards, and then they're bringing the cops in. This is the language that they say. Well, you thought you could get away with stealing stuff at my store. My store. That's how they come at it with, like, my store. It's my store. It's not your store, bro. You're an employee, you're making minimum wage, and you act like you own it because nobody has ever given you any positions of power in your life, and now you're empowered by this little tag that you have on your uniform that says manager, so now you're going to go above and beyond. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do a good job. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go out of your way to stock those shelves correctly or organize things. Yes, you should do your job, but to go above and beyond for your safety as if you own it, not a chance in heck I would ever do that. Not a chance in heck. In fact, I would probably be the guy that's, you know, setting up everything behind the scenes. Like, hey, look, this is where the stash is at right here. This is where it's at right here. Go here, go there. You know, these are the exit routes. These are the ways that you can avoid camera. I would probably be that guy more than anything. I would probably be that, you know, that Target or Walmart employer. Because here's another thing, right? He says that's the reason why they hire security. Even then, even if I was security, I'm not going to go out of my way to go fight 5 people, you know, even though I'm strapped. I'm not going to, because, you know, some security guards, you know, have gun licenses, right? I'm not going to go and pull out my strap and risk my life on top of risking my life, potentially risking charges, because you know how California is, right? I'm not going to do that. No way, not a chance. I'm not going to do that. First of all, here's another thing, right? This is controversial to say. I'm not a white American, okay? And I think that may offend some people here, but, you know, a white American has that attitude where they will go out of their way to go do that. I'm sorry, but what Daniel Penny did, you know, was the stupidest thing that you could ever do, and it's the reason why he got arrested and he killed somebody for no apparent reason. Okay, this is just straight up white savior complex mentality that I'm just not down with. I'm not going to go use my martial arts skills. I'm not going to go use, you know, any military tactic training that I know of to try and be a Captain Save-A-Ho when the guy wasn't even really, you know, when the guy wasn't even really, you know, a threat to begin with, right? And another thing, you know, with that, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of white Americans are just scared of black people. Can we just be very honest about that? Can we be very honest about that, right? Look, I'm going to tell you honestly, right? I've been around dangerous black people, okay? I've been around black people that are extremely dangerous, okay? Whether they were my homies or whether they were on the other side, okay? And some of you don't understand threat assessments. You see a black kid who's a nerd. All of a sudden, you perceive him as a thug. You see a black kid that has dreads. Oh my God, he has dreads. He must be a menace. No, what I see is a kid who likes anime, a kid who's into, you know, emo rock, right? You don't see that because all you see is a black kid that looks dangerous to you. And I'm sorry, a lot of white Americans don't have good, you know, threat assessment when it comes to that. Unless, of course, you're a white American that has had, you know, military experience, or if you are a police officer and you understand what dangerous people look like. But the majority of you are just scared people who will act upon, you know, instinctual, you know, false instinctual purposes to try and mitigate a situation you don't need to be in, i.e. Daniel Penny, i.e. George Zimmerman, i.e. Kyle Rittenhouse. Although Kyle Rittenhouse, I will say, is a little bit more of a 50-50 because, to be honest with you, if you're hitting me with a skateboard, for sure, I'm blasting you in the freaking head. Straight up, I'm blasting you with that AR, you know, like it's no tomorrow. I'm pumping rounds in you and I'm putting you, I'm sending you to hell. Straight up, I'm sending you to Jahannam. That's what I'm going to do, okay, if you try and approach me in that kind of violent manner. So, I don't know, maybe I can sympathize with Kyle Rittenhouse a little bit, not so much with Daniel Penny, not so much with George Zimmerman, and certainly not so much with Derek Chauvin, right? This is just, well, okay, that's a little controversial as well, right? Because, I don't know, man, I mean, yeah, Derek Chauvin, man, that is kind of a weird one, right? I don't think... Yeah, man. Unfortunately, George Floyd died in ways that was created by pre-existing complications. Let me read some of these comments right here. Fresh Melon Juice says Floyd supports causes worldwide through his foundation and personal donations, including notable contributions to Rainbow Dreams Academy Charter School. Okay, I'm not saying that he doesn't do good, right? Manny Pacquiao also does good, right? There's a lot of people in the Philippines that are no longer homeless because of him, but at the same time, there's also a lot of Filipinos that are domestic workers in Gulf Arab countries, and that's indicative of the reality that, you know, the government of that country does nothing for them. So there you have it, right? He continues his long-standing commitment to youth empowerment, education, community health, and family support efforts. I'm starting to think Fresh Melon Juice is a PR agent for Floyd Mayweather, because the language that you're speaking of, and you're talking to somebody who's a trained public relations agent, right? You are literally speaking the language of a public relations agent, and now I'm starting to kind of understand you a little bit, right? So I think you have a little bit of some education. You probably are a college graduate of some degree. You're definitely not 14 years old, right? You know, the CIA thing, I don't know about all that, but I'm breaking you down a little bit. I'm going to figure you out. I'm going to find out who you are. I'm going to find out, you know, and that's the game that we play here, is trying to find out who is this mysterious fresh melon juice troll, right? Tito Bobby says, as long as they don't violate the robber's rights. I mean, right. That's exactly what it is, right? That's why I'm not even going to entertain that if I was to be in that position, if I was in that job. He says, who are you helping, Kyrie? Well, here's the thing, right? As a Muslim, we're not here to talk about our charities or what we do. It's obviously haram to do that. I'm not here to justify what I do or who I help or this and that. That's not what this is for. But, you know, you can think what you want to think. If you want to think that I'm this, you know, staunch, hardcore capitalist that doesn't care about any, I really could care less. Because by the end of the day, it's like what Tupac said, right? Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Only God can judge me. Anyways, Kyrie burning down the boxing game like the cartel's members burning down, how do you pronounce that? Mikoran? Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it right now. Yeah, but there's a lot. You know what? Speaking of which, I was going to add this into the description, but, you know, for some reason I didn't because I thought I wasn't going to have a chance to talk about it. But how about, you know, the fight in Mexico this weekend? By the way, there's a fight in Mexico this weekend. UFC, right? Brandon Moreno, and I believe, who is Brandon Moreno fighting? Let me see if that fight is still on, right? I'm going to type on Google, is UFC Mexico still going on? That's the question, right? Okay, is UFC Mexico still going on? All right, yes, UFC Mexico. Okay, so Moreno versus Kavanaugh is still proceeding when scheduled. Okay, because it is in Mexico City, and it doesn't mean that they are affecting all of Mexico. So yeah, they are still going to fight this weekend. So there you have it. All right, let's get back to Floyd on this one.
To Floyd's credit, though, a spokesperson from the Black Spruce Management recognized and described him as a reliable partner who stands as a great ambassador for affordable housing. Plus, investigations also revealed that the boxing hero only purchased a minority ownership interest in the portfolio, with options to expand the stake over time or acquire the buildings in their entirety. However, you can remember that in his announcement video, Floyd insisted that the buildings were all his and that he did not have any partner whatsoever. At some point, he was even doing a tour around the city to show off the buildings as his own and doubling down on his no partners claim. By the way, this is not the first time the man is making a claim of purchasing properties in real estate. Here's another time he was boasting of owning 9 skyscrapers in New York City alone.
If you guys haven't seen one of my buildings, is One Summit.
Yes.
It's one of the tallest commercial buildings in the world. So just in New York alone, I got 9 skyscrapers.
And here, he was being dodgy when asked about the building's address.
What's in that building?
So yeah, something fishy is really going on. Well, in his defense, Money Mayweather has come out to say that he didn't lie when he talked about his investments. According to him, he could be anything, but never a liar.
My company, I'm not a liar. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar.
He has even gone ahead to sue Business Insiders for the story they put out about him, insisting that they are cooking up lies against him and his businesses.
I work hard to build my name, to build my reputation, and I'm not going to let anyone go out there and smear my name and talk bad about me, talk bad about my family, or talk bad about my...
Anyways, in all of these, one thing is abundantly clear, and it's the fact that Mr. Floyd Mayweather didn't tell us the whole truth when he initially came out to announce his mega investment in New York City's real estate. He didn't tell us that he was only just a minority investor, and he didn't tell us that he was partnering with Black Spruce Management, who are even the majority stockholders in the business as things stand now. Obviously, the money man wanted to flex and brag about the whole business in his usual character. But sadly, that half-truth opened up a can of controversies on him. Controversies that are revealing more cracks in his money empire and showing us that things might not just be as rosy as he has been trying to make us believe all these while. And talking about controversies, this definitely isn't the first time for Mr. Money. Here's another one that really shook the internet and had everyone talking about whether Mayweather has truly gone broke.
It's for a rematch. Floyd is broke, man. I've been saying.
Do you remember the exhibition fight Mayweather had against Logan Paul? Yeah, we were talking about this one.
How did I win?
Well, it turns out that the fight didn't just end that night. Instead, a beef between the two fighters dragged on for months and even ended up in a court case. They even got in a physical brawl for it.
I'm my own boy. Night. Got your hat.
Listen. Guys, I'm going to tell you something right. There is a reason why I do not wear chains. There's a reason why I don't wear hats, even though I sell hats on YouTube now, right? I sell the Atlanta Braves A hats, by the way, which is on the description below. Buy an Atlanta Braves hat, and you guys help me get some commissions on that. So, yeah. So if there's any Atlanta Braves fans out there, go buy it. Toxic Gameplays, you are, you're from Atlanta, right? I'm sure you'd love a Braves hat. Go on and buy one. Obviously, buy some for your friends as well. But I don't wear hats, okay? If I'm going to buy that hat, I'm probably going to display it and never wear it. I don't wear hats. I don't wear chains. I don't wear anything that is going to make me susceptible for you grabbing onto something or using it against me. You could literally use a chain to choke me. I mean, you know what? I don't know why none of these rappers ever think about it. Maybe because their whole entire prerogative when they snatch a chain is to take it from someone. But guess what? I'm not interested in your jewelry. If you are an enemy of mine and you wear chains, you better believe that I'm going to choke you with that chain, okay? I'm going to, like this. You're going to be like this if I ever run across you wearing a chain. That's on everything. And here's Floyd Mayweather wearing a hat. Of course, Jake Paul, the troll that he is, trolls him for it and then gets into this scuffle. All right, but let's see the scuffle and go back in time with this.
It also sparked a controversy that made people see Mayweather in a different way. This one's definitely got to be the most interesting boxing aftermath you'd ever witness, and it started from the very night of the fight.
Logan Paul tries to pressure Floyd, trying to unload now, throwing punches from variety different angles. Floyd covering up. Logan going.
Firstly, you naturally expect an absolute boxing legend like Mayweather not to be in the same boxing ring with some random YouTube fighter like Logan Paul, right? And even if it did happen that they got in the same ring, you'd expect that Floyd would smoke the random fighter with a knockout in the very first round of the fight, right? Yeah, well, it didn't happen like that. Surprisingly, this fight was supposed to be an easy win for the boxing legend, but it started to...
Regardless of whether Mayweather won this fight or he didn't win this fight, the bottom line is he didn't pay Logan Paul. You still have to pay Logan Paul. It doesn't matter if you, Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo'd Logan Paul, right? You still have to pay him. Now, why is it that he's not paying him? He says, Kyrie is going to choke you with that chain. He's going to change your mind. Change your mind. That's right. That's good, man. You got bars today, bro. Are you sure you're not an East Coast rapper, bro? You got some bars on you, bro.
Dragged out and lasted as long as 8 rounds. In fact, it seemed like Mayweather was not even doing much damage to Logan Paul at some point. So it wasn't surprising when the fight ended and Logan started strutting around and boasting as if he won the fight.
There's so much for that.
And if we're being honest, lasting up to 8 rounds against Mr. The Best Ever in a boxing match can be seen as almost equivalent to victory for a fighter in Logan's level.
Correct. That is a victory for somebody like Logan's level. That is facts on facts on that one, right? Look, here's the thing, right? Floyd is way smaller than Logan Paul. And I think he underestimated him. Well, just like Floyd does with everything else, he underestimates everything and everyone. And I think that he also underestimates this fight with Manny Pacquiao. Now, as much as I got things to say about Manny Pacquiao, and as much as I've criticized him on this live stream right now, I still think that Manny Pacquiao has a better chance of beating Floyd Mayweather now more than he did before, right? I think Manny Pacquiao aged a lot better than Floyd Mayweather did. If you look at the last fight that Manny Pacquiao did against Barrios, he looked great, and Barrios was a world champion and went to a draw with him. Floyd Mayweather can't compete with these young kids, especially not at the elite of 147 or 154.
Mayweather would later come out to say that the fight only lasted that long because it was an exhibition. According to him, if it were to be a real boxing match, then he would have finished off Logan from the very first round.
I could have. I could have really pressed real hard, start going, this crazy
Just like what he did with a Japanese kickboxer, right? Remember how he handled the 125 kickboxing champion in Ryzen, if you remember that fight that he did in Ryzen.
But
However, the explanation was already too late at that point because something else, something even more interesting and damning, was already brewing. This time, it had to do with money again. You see, not long after the fight, Logan Paul would come out to make a very serious accusation against Mayweather. It was an accusation that had people surprised and even had top...
That's right, Tenshin Nasukawa, correct, yes. He laid him out. Now, if it was so easy, if Logan Paul was so easy, why did that fight not look like the Tenshin Nasukawa fight? Well, it's quite simple. Tenshin is a 125er, and Logan is a heavyweight. I mean, he's a heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight heavyweight, right? He's somewhere along those lines. And if Logan really tried, he could also be a light heavyweight at 175.
Analysts asking questions about what was really going on. This is because, according to Logan, Mayweather was yet to pay him completely for the fight.
No, he has not paid me in full. That is a fact. Short a few million.
Wow.
Of course, this revelation blew up a can of controversies on Mayweather again. It became a buzz in the fighting world, and you can trust that...
Fresh Melon Juice says, Floyd doesn't underestimate anybody. He's the most calculating boxer in history. He was the most calculating boxer when he fought Ricky Hatton, when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, when he fought Sugar Shane Mosley, when he fought Miguel Cotto, when he fought Margarito, when he fought the names that, can go on and on. Maidana is another one in there. He was a calculating fighter. He was also a very calculating fighter when he fought Andre Berto, and then when he fought Conor McGregor in his last professional fight before he went into the circus of, and Arturo Gatti. There you go, yeah. He also fought Diego Corrales and Arturo Gatti. So, man, he's got some names on him. He was calculating when he fought and beat those guys. You see, at the age that Floyd is at right now, there comes a time when you get a little bit older and you become a lot more arrogant. The older that you get, the more arrogant that you get, especially if you get older and then you are doing well in life as you get older, right? It's only people that are, doing bad in life when they get older where, they, are humbled, right? They are humbled by the realities of life. If you're getting older and you're just getting better and you're just getting richer and you're just getting more powerful, nobody can tell you anything. So you start believing in your own hype. Okay, you're not as hungry as you once were, so your sense of calculation is not going to be the same anymore. You understand? It's not going to be the same anymore. That's indicative of Roy Jones when he got older. That's indicative of Bernard Hopkins when he got older. So I need you to understand, at the stage that Floyd is at right now, he truly believes that he can beat Manny Pacquiao because he beat him once. But what he doesn't realize is the Manny Pacquiao of today is different than the Manny Pacquiao that he fought. Maybe Manny Pacquiao is a little bit worse than when he fought, but I could tell you Manny Pacquiao is a much better fighter now. Is a much better fighter now in comparison to Floyd. Maybe not with other guys. They both can't compete with 147 guys, right? We saw what Ryan Garcia did with Mario Barrios this weekend, right? We saw what he did. And on top of that, you saw how he shut him out. Yet, Ryan Garcia could probably do the same thing to Manny Pacquiao just by that boxing math alone. So in other words, they both are a perfect match for each other. And Fresh Melon Juice says Floyd eats correct, trains, and doesn't use alcohol and drugs. You can't compare him to anyone. I tell you what, that is an advantage. That is an advantage. But as much of that as an advantage, it is also the bare minimum, right? Not doing drugs, eating correctly, training consistently. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum for you to be called a fighter, for you to still be called a fighter. Okay, that's the bare minimum. But the bare minimum doesn't win fights, and especially not at a high level. And judging by how Manny Pacquiao did against a former world champion in Mario Barrios, regardless of how bad Mario Barrios did against Ryan Garcia this weekend, I think it's safe to say that Manny Pacquiao is a guy that got that aged better than Floyd. Toxic Game Plus sidebar. Being from the Bay, do you pick Devin to beat Ryan in the rematch or not? Well, to be very frank, I'm not from the Bay. Sacramento is not considered the Bay. I know that sometimes it gets mistaken for being from the Bay, but yeah, the Bay is they have their own culture, honestly, right? And yeah, he says, Fresh Melon Juice says your takes are insane. Well, here's the thing, right? As a content creator, we all have insane takes. Okay, that's what makes us entertaining, right? You have to understand, I'm going to tell you if my takes are entertaining or are just for the purposes of entertainment or for the purposes of, being actually real. But when it comes to who aged better, that's just my own personal opinion. Now, your opinion may contrast to that. You may have different variations of those opinions. Some you would agree with, some you don't. But only in September 19th, we will find out what that is. Until then, we have all throughout spring. We still have Ramadan going on, and then there's spring. And then after spring, we still have summer going on. And after summer, we still have fall. And then that's when the fight starts closing near, and then we'll find out if I'm right or not. And then we'll probably forget about this live stream anyway. Actually, no, we won't, because I'm probably going to replay this, on the day of the fight, as a live scam, as you say. He says, yeah, their records and habits, it's simple math. Right. Well, that's the reason why I say that Manny Pacquiao is still fighting at a high level, whereas Floyd Mayweather was fighting Japanese kickboxers.
Logan was there all the way to put more fire on the grill.
Okay, a couple million somehow that's just missing. Where did the money go? Floyd said he could afford a Jeff Bezos-sized jet from the money he made from that fight. I ain't got no fucking jet. What the fuck, dude? I'm missing a couple mil. We're gonna find it, bros.
This dude was like a thorn that has refused to let go in Floyd's flesh. He seized every single opportunity to talk about the money and was constantly asking Mr. Mayweather to pay up what he owed him. According to Logan, he noticed that Floyd was trying to be sneaky and take advantage of him because he was a newbie in the boxing world, and he wouldn't just take that.
Actually, right? I realized, okay, I'm being strung along. This is a classic, hey, buddy, you're the new guy in this industry. We're going to puppeteer you however we want. Hop on for the ride and shut up. Instead of shutting up, I make fun of him on social media and let everyone know that he doesn't.
At some point, Logan went as far as threatening to sue Mayweather for that money.
Yeah. So we're gonna sue Floyd Mayweather.
Indeed.
Shout out to Hate Love. Salam, brother. I'm getting ready for iftar. I'm here in the background listening, man. Thank you for that, man. And by the way, I now have official sponsors from the Atlanta Braves. You can go down on the description below. Buy Atlanta Braves hat for me. Okay, I get full commission on that, and you get yourself a nice, beautiful hat from the Atlanta Braves. So shout out to the Atlanta Braves for that sponsorship.
Mayweather did not like being in such a spotlight, especially considering all the heat that was coming with it. So he had to respond to these accusations and at least offer some explanations. According to him, Logan was making all that noise because he didn't know how payment works in the boxing industry. The pay-per-view money usually takes some time to come, so if you gotta earn from it, then you gotta be patient. The boxing legend was also a bit cocky though, and told Logan to shut up and enjoy the biggest payday he ever had in his life.
You know, the money is not coming fast enough. That's why when they say money on the back end, as far as pay-per-view, it take a while. You know?
Gaslighting. Basically gaslighting.
And he shouldn't trip. If he felt like he done great numbers and we done record-breaking numbers, then I understand. Nothing comes.
Anyways, you wouldn't totally blame Logan Paul for calling out Floyd and demanding for his money. After all, Mayweather owns the promotion from that fight, and obviously, they made a whole lot of money from it. So, it's naturally the right thing to pay the young man his cut, and let that chapter be closed. Well, unless you do not have the money to pay, which is even a worst case scenario because it's pointing at another crack on the money empire. But hey, if you want to know what the biggest crack on the money empire and all that flashy show-off is, then you gotta check this next controversy out. This one rocked Mayweather like a high-volume earthquake, and some of his precious assets were even seized for it. In fact, it had people across various industries questioning what was really wrong with Money Mayweather. And no, it's not as if these people are affiliated to boxing. It even got the tough man himself almost teary at some point.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We're gonna get through this.
Now, remember when we talked about leading a super flashy and extravagant lifestyle and how it often comes with consequences? Well, one of those consequences is that you are most likely to run into troubles with the IRS at some point. Yeah, you guessed right. Floyd Mayweather has already hit that point in his troubles, and it's not even the first time. So, here's one thing about owning private jets, expensive cars, luxurious mansions, and jewelry that run into millions of dollars in cost. They often come with extra baggage in terms of expensive maintenance and outrageous taxes. You definitely have to plan for these things before making your purchase, or you might just be shooting yourself in the foot. Boom! In Floyd's case, he must have forgotten about these extra costs of owning the luxury properties, or he was just too focused on showing it off to his Instagram audience that he stopped caring about anything else. Anyways, you can always trust the IRS to come knocking once he defaulted on his taxes and other bills, and they came in guns blazing. The gist is that the IRS has been on Floyd's tail for a long while now, dating back to even before 2015 when he had that big money fight with Pacquiao. Obviously, he has been making luxurious purchases like this expensive mansion here, and a fleet of over 100 cars,
Lambo, Ferrari, 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 Lambo, Maybach, a Maybach, whatever you want to call it. Of course, the McLaren.
this flashy collection of blings, and many others. However, he has failed to keep up with the financial responsibility of paying the complete taxes that come with owning such luxury items. And even though Floyd claims to have paid millions of dollars in taxes over the years while trying to downplay the severity of the case, the IRS still insists that he owes a lot of money, reaching up to tens of millions. But this particular case started in 2017, when Floyd failed to pay his complete tax duties for the year. Oh, and he did not just stop at not paying, he also tried to play a fast one on the agency. In order to evade fulfilling his complete tax duties for the year, the smart money man decided to claim that he made outrageous expenses on legal battles that year, totaling about $15 million. Now, in case you do not get what this smart man was trying to drive at, here's a short explanation for you. Apparently, Floyd thought the IRS would not collect taxes for money spent as legal expenses. So, if he could prove that he spent all that money on legal battles in the year, then he would be getting some massive tax waivers. That's some genius move, if I am being honest. Anyways, the IRS was not having any of that, and they insisted that the retired boxer was to pay his full tax obligations. In fact, they even served him a letter saying he was about to pay $5.5 million more in taxes for that year. Plus, they also charged him an additional $1.1 million as penalty for the inconsistencies on his tax return, and obviously for trying to play on their intelligence. These people went as far as seizing some of the legendary boxer's prized assets.
Car back there. We're gonna take that car.
Of course, Floyd didn't like what was going on, and he decided not to take it lying down. So he took the IRS to court. His argument remained that they should consider his legal expenses for the year and give him some waivers. However,
how humiliating for Manny Mayweather to deal with all of this, right? Very humiliating. Absolutely humiliating. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of you wish you were rich, right? And this is a reason why a lot of you are dumb enough to go and flash money online, you know, especially rap dudes who, you know, are barely making it, you know, street dudes who are barely making it. They flash money around or this, that, and the other. Here's the reality of the situation, right? A lot of you do not have the discipline to be rich. That's just what it really comes down to. A lot of you don't have the discipline to be rich. I mean, think of it like this, right? Think of it like this. If you have a big house, do you understand the type of maintenance that you have to deal with that? Okay? I have 4 bathrooms in my house. You understand? I have 4 bathrooms in my house. Some of you only have 1 bathroom in your apartment and you can't even take care of that. Although, I'm not going to lie, I do pay people to clean my bathrooms for me, right? But that is an executive decision that I make. Now, why? The reason why I made that executive decision to go and pay people to clean stuff for me is because I don't want to waste any time. I want to get in, I want to get out, I need to go do what I need to do, and I don't need to be wasting time doing other things when I could be out doing other things to cultivate whatever it is that I need to create. But a lot of you don't understand that. A lot of you don't understand the language of being rich, and therefore that is why some of you will never be rich, which is okay, right? You know, it's random. Look, anybody can be... He says, why do you think you're rich, Kyrie? You're far from money rich. Well, here's the thing, right? I don't have financial problems. I don't have debt the way that the majority of Americans do, right? I have friends that, you know, tell me about their financial situations, or I have friends that are accountants that tell me about other people's financial situation, and I could tell you I don't have anything. Look, yeah, you're right. I'm far from rich. I'm far from rich, but I'm not living, you know, in destitute, nor am I living in a struggled situation where I'm scared, I'm scrambling for bills, or I'm late on bills, or, you know, have immense amounts of debt. I don't have none of that going on. You know, that's why. Look, look, man, I live in a pretty nice, you know, environment. You know, let's just say that. I'm not here to label myself. I never said, first of all, did I ever say once in this whole entire live stream that I was rich? He says, you're not a moron, that's it. Exactly, exactly. What I'm saying is that what I got going on, a lot of people think that that's rich. To me, that's just normal, standard, middle-class life. Look, I know a lot of friends of mine overseas, right? They see all of that and they think, wow, you know, this is a normal standard for, you know, most Americans, right? It seems that Americans have it good. Yeah, you know, until you see some of my, you know, homies in the hood and what they're going through and what they got going on, you know what I mean? You realize that not everyone in America has it going on like that. You know, everyone has, you know, a bit of some struggles. Everyone has a bit of some, issues that they have going on or some issues that they face. That's just what it is. Yeah, you're right. I'm not a moron. But the reason why a lot of people, look, being poor is not, a punishment on certain behaviors, right? It's not at all. But sometimes it is, right? Sometimes people are poor because they come from a very destitute situation where they had absolutely no help. But also, on the other hand, I'm also not the one to take financial advice from. I'm not the one to take that because, let me be perfectly honest, it's not like I also didn't get help. Okay, it's not like I also, didn't come from, a certain environment that allowed me to catapult myself into the next level. Other people don't have that, so I'm not the person to ask, about X, Y, and Z. But what I can tell you is I live comfortably, and this is the reason why. Okay, and quite frankly, I think that many people who are in that position, I think that they, like people who want to live in the suburbs or buy a house, right? Like this is a common complaint that a lot of millennials have right now. Oh, we can't buy a house or this and that. Well, in reality, if you were to own a house, would you even have the wits and all to maintain it and to somehow, keep it intact? And unfortunately, I think that many of you don't. And that's just, out of my character assessments of, people overall. So just being really, candid and honest about that.
However, the IRS doubled down and was like, nah, we ain't giving you nada. According to them, they were not going to allow the deductions because Floyd wasn't able to prove that the legal expenses were paid or incurred in that tax year, and that it didn't even really qualify as legal expenses in the first place. In fact, they actually considered it as ordinary business expenses. In the end, though, Mayweather threw in the towel and agreed to pay the sum before the case officially went to court. So, we can technically say the IRS won that round, even though Floyd's lawyer would later try to downplay the whole case, saying that the only issue in the case was which year the deduction was allowable, 2017 or 2018. The taxpayer has amicably resolved the issue with the IRS. At this point, you definitely got to be asking one question. Why always Floyd Mayweather? I mean, why are you always going from one financial problem to another, huh? You try every day to show us how unbelievably wealthy and influential you are, but these problems keep telling us otherwise. It's either the money man never had all that wealth he was trying to make us believe he did, or he's beginning to go broke. And now, how about that time Mayweather almost ended up behind bars because of a crypto scam case he was involved in?
Famous boxer Floyd Mayweather and famous DJ and Snapchatter DJ Khaled seem to be in some hot water. The two of them.
Oh yeah, there's another idiot right there, DJ Khaled. Oh man, the biggest idiot ever, disgrace to the Arabs.
Them are being sued for allegedly being involved in a
The crypto scam cases. Of course, with the emergence of cryptocurrency and the popularity it has enjoyed in recent years, very many investors have gotten into the industry, and even more people are seeking to invest and join in reaping its many benefits. But here's the deal. The market is open to everyone, including the good, the bad, and the scammers. You see, because of its decentralized nature, this industry is still unregulated to a very large extent. This means that the government hasn't really found a way to enforce enough guidelines for operations in the industry yet. So, investors and industry players can easily conduct businesses, almost free from government interference. It also means that the market is open for everybody. You can just stroll in and start dealing. At this point, you are probably wondering how all these technical jargons concern Mayweather, right? Well, here's where the major twist comes and the story gets even more spicier. In the year 2017, Floyd suddenly started aggressively promoting a particular ICO and a crypto card called CentraCard across his media platforms.
As y'all can see, the number changed from before. The new way.
I'm going to tell you what Floyd Mayweather did in terms of really corrupting the entire landscape of boxing, if not just corrupting the youth period, right? But let's start with boxing. Number one, he had everybody believing that you need to protect your undefeated record, and if you lose one time, then somehow you are devalued, right? This is why a lot of guys don't want to take fights. They don't want to take hard fights. They want to take easy fights as a result of that. The other thing is that Floyd Mayweather made people think that it's okay for you to go and flash money around like an idiot. And by the way, what's even worse about that, if you're flashing money around online, guess what? The IRS is going to look at you and say, did you claim that? Did you claim any of those taxes? And that's something a lot of people don't understand. Once again, I told you, this is why I say a lot of you don't deserve to be rich or to even be financially stable at all, right? Because you just don't understand. You don't understand the language of money or the language of financial privacy. Because the more that you put your financial situations out there, the more that you expose yourself. So that's really what it comes down to, anyways.
Things are done. Now, at first hearing the name, you might think that this ICO is the real deal. You might even think it will do very well in the crypto world because of how official it looked. But that's all a huge lie. In fact, there was no coin at all. Yeah, you heard that right. Floyd Mayweather, DJ Khaled, and other celebrities who jumped on the train that period were all just selling thin air to their audience. There was no product, no coin, just empty promises and a money swagger that says you are about to hit it big. Want to know what's more interesting? Investigations would later reveal that Floyd did not even try investing in the said coin before pushing it out to his audience. Turns out that Mr. Money Don't Make Me, alongside a few other celebrities like DJ Khaled, were contacted by a company called Central Tech to help advertise the Centra card as influencers. And without doing their due diligence to confirm the authenticity of the product, they jumped on the offer. Apparently, it was more about how much will be made from the deal for Money Mayweather than it was about protecting his reputation. Ugh.
Exactly, exactly. And many of you bought into it because anything that deals with a celebrity, you people are going to buy up to it, especially like just certain, well, let me just say this, certain demographics of people really believe in Floyd, right? Like as if he's like the savior of, you know, a certain group of people, when in reality he doesn't really employ anybody from his community. But not to digress.
The whole charade would soon crash though, and people realized it was a scam all along. Plus, Mayweather didn't invest in it as he had claimed. Instead, he was just lying to influence for the company and their scam crypto product. Sadly, over $30 million of investors' money was lost in that scam, and the three Central Tech founders were soon arrested and sentenced for fraud. Luckily, though, Mayweather and DJ Khaled escaped spending time behind bars after paying a fine of around $600,000 to the SEC. But hey, here's the real kicker. This was not just the only crypto scam Mayweather has been involved in. Yeah, he's been in multiple other crypto schemes that turned out to be scam cases too.
When it comes to legalized bank robbing?
In short, the list is almost endless. But here are some of the ones we can quickly count, starting with his first crypto influencing gig in 2017 with an ICO named Stocks.com.
Floyd Mayweather is promoting the Stocks ICO.
Now, this was way before crypto and NFT influencing became popular and other celebrities started jumping on it. Unfortunately for investors that believed him then, though, it was a scam. His next crypto scam job was for an ICO called Hubi Network, and the next one was called Nami. The next one was an NFT called Bored Bunny. The next one was called Waj Token. And the next, okay, you definitely should have gotten the drift by now. What's even more sad is that judging by their funny stories, these scams were almost obvious. But people still fell for them, probably because of how highly influential the man promoting them is. This man even...
I told you, a lot of you guys are morons when it comes to celebrities, right? Many of you believe that a celebrity is your Lord and Savior and somehow they have the answers to it all. And I sometimes get it, right? Like, all right, he's a celebrity, he's a known name, so therefore maybe there's some reality or credibility behind it. But, you know, people need to investigate further is all I got to say about that.
Even went ahead to create his own NFT at some point, and also gave it a befitting funny name to go with, because what the heck kind of name is Floyd World NFT and Mayweverse?
Floyd
1, some say 1.2.
But that's just not enough for Floyd Money Mayweather, because after he retired from boxing for the 14th time, he later went on to become the most evil celebrity crypto scammer of all time.
But then he probably figured that if other people could do it with his influence, then he could just as well do it himself. Anyways, the project ended as a disaster, but Floyd would go on to create many other NFTs, including the Legacy, Floyd Mayweather Autograph Collection, and others. Oh, and not forgetting that time the boxing lord almost got into trouble for promoting a scam crypto coin alongside Logan Paul and Kim Kardashian. As you might have already guessed, the coin was absolutely useless and only ever sold because of the caliber of people influencing for it. Mayweather even once tried to compare its projected success to what we have in Bitcoin today. Can you just imagine that? Thankfully, a couple of people who weren't morons sat in the audience that day, and they gave him befitting boos for his efforts.
Turns out no one really cared about this concept, and their token is now down about 90% from its all-time high. On February 19th, 2022, Floyd promoted an NFT project called Meta Skeletons.
Come to think of it though, why is Mr. Floyd Money Mayweather always in the center of such disgraceful controversies? I mean, he's already well established and money should no longer be a problem for him, right? Well, except maybe that's exactly what his problem is. Because if he has all that money, why else would he owe his staff so much that they had to hold a protest?
Okay, so what did I tell you guys? What did I tell you? A lot of you that are saying he's not broke, you're saying that because you're assuming that all that money that he makes, it's not going to go anywhere, right? Well, it has to go to staff, it has to go to taxes, it has to go to garbage collection, it has to go to his definitive shopping habits. It goes somewhere and it goes to a lot of places. You understand? So, yeah, he got money, but he still has to pay people money. That's just what it really comes down to. And look, I get it. You need to pay people to do things. I just told you earlier, I pay people to clean my house. You know what I mean? I paid people to do all sorts of things that, you know, most people could do on their own, but I'd rather have, you know, all the time in the world to do whatever it is that I need to do, right? I have people that mow my lawns. I have people that do my backyard, just so I could be in here and talk to you guys online and not busy with other things that I need to take care of. And that takes a lot of money, okay? But at some point, you got to outweigh your cost. And I don't know, man. I think Floyd Mayweather's math wasn't adding up on this one.
This one is probably the last crack on the money empire that proves Mayweather is going broke and might soon file for bankruptcy. As most people will say, the top sign that a company has gone broke and can no longer sustain itself should be when its workers come out to organize a protest for non-payment of salary. Well, guess what? This has happened to Mayweather too. Here's his boxing gym staff
Okay, I'm going to give you a story that's similar to this, right? Okay, well, wait a second. I'm going to let you, I'm going to play this and I'm going to tell you a story that is very similar to what I had experienced in the car business, whereas someone was not able to pay me for X amount of reasons, right? I'll talk to you about it and I'll tell you what I did in the process of that, because this is going to get really entertaining. So, yeah, you don't want to miss this. All right, anyways.
organizing an all-out protest against the OG boxer because he hadn't paid their salary and kept owing them. And here, they were getting emotional because of the trauma they have to live through, being owed and not paid for the work and commitment they put into running the gym.
It has affected my mental health.
There you go. For those that think that Floyd Mayweather is for black people, you know what? This is one thing that I really can't stand, right? They say, oh yeah, Floyd Mayweather loves black people. He gives black people, employment. He gives black people opportunities. He loves the black people. Okay, well, what about this?
According to the workers, the gym's slogan is hard work and dedication. But even after giving their all, they still do not get paid.
No pay. Hard work. No pay. Hard work. No pay. Hard work. No pay. Dedication.
But then again, they're not the only ones to have called out Mayweather for owing them. From Logan Paul to 50 Cent to the IRS, his jurors, his workers, business partners, and on and on. The list is almost endless.
All right, so I'll give you a story that's similar to this, right? I worked for a guy in the car industry that was not able to pay me, right? In fact, we were sort of like partners in a way, right? You know, because we were a very small team. You know, it was me, him, and then maybe two other people that worked in, you know, maintenance of the car or washing the car or this and that or whatever, right? So we were basically in a partnership. He couldn't pay me. And he made excuses as why he couldn't pay me. And lo and behold, the reason why was because he was in debt, right? So guess what I did? I called a bunch of homies and I said, yo, listen, this dude is not, willing to pay me. By the way, there's a reason why I'm able to tell this story because this gets really vicious, right? The reason why I'm able to tell this story, this dude left the country. He went back to Egypt. He told me he wasn't going to be able to pay me, right? You know, and I'm thinking, this guy thinks like I'm stuck in this environment of only Arabs, right? Because, you know, obviously the car industry that I was working at in Sacramento, it's dominated by Arabs, right? And they all know each other. So he thinks that Arabs are the only people that I know. So guess what I did? I called the other racial element of people that I know and decided, all right, we're going to go to his house. He's going to pay me for what is owed of me. And next thing you know, let me just say, long story short, he gave me what was owed to me based on forcing the issue. Okay? And trust me, you know, all of that got involved as well. Like, give me the money. Like that. So for those of you that are talking about, you know, oh, you know, gangs are not, you know, good or this, that, and the other, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do and you got to put force into, you know, people. And that's really what it comes down to.
There's even rumors that this dude was once detained.
But unfortunately, these people that work for Floyd Mayweather, they can't do that to him because Floyd Mayweather has bodyguards and all types of people to protect him. And these people are not exactly about that life for them to get their money back.
Detained when he went to Dubai because he was owing them. You definitely have to stop and wonder why he cannot just simply pay off his debts, especially considering how rich he wants us to believe he is. Well, your guess is as good as ours. But hey, beyond all the scandals and controversies, this man here is an absolute god in the boxing game. I mean, never recording a loss throughout his career, even though he faced 50 opponents and fought over 20 world champions, that's definitely the stuff of legends right there. Little wonder he calls himself the best ever. Floyd also seems to be a dedicated family man, and we will be doing wrong by him if we do not also talk about some of the positives in his life. So here's the legendary boxer's life and career story. If we are being fair to Mayweather, we must admit that he was born into a pretty tough and rough...
All right, so for those of you that were saying in the chat that Floyd Mayweather is this good guy or whatever, that he's done a lot of good, here's this portion of the video that sort of vouches for that.
Family. I mean, sharing a one-room apartment with your parents and up to 7 other family members could do some damage to any kid out there. However, that didn't deter Floyd in his early days. Instead, it was more like a fuel for his ambition. Born into the family of Floyd Mayweather Sr. on the 24th of February, 1977, this champ was introduced into the world of boxing at a very young age. Obviously, he came from a boxing heritage because his father and uncle were also professional boxers. In fact, his uncle, Roger Mayweather, was somewhat a successful fighter who won titles in his prime, too. The man had even fought a young Pernell Whitaker before the latter went on to become a world beater. Roger also went on to beat a number of people and was quite famous in his prime.
And the boos you hear in the arena greet the entrance of the man whom Mexicans see as the Mexican assassin. A man who...
You can kind of see where Floyd Mayweather got that whole moniker of, using the, what do you call it, Mexican hat, wearing the traditional outfit of his opponents, right? Roger Mayweather was the originator of that. Ali Khan says, praise be to the Most High. Greetings, my man. Takbir. Allahu Akbar, my man. Allahu Akbar. I hope you're having a beautiful Ramadan, and shout outs to you and everybody around the world. I know that you're in the UK right now, so, you're probably, on your way to iftar right now, right? You're probably on your way to break your fast right now. I just had my suhoor earlier, right? I ate in the morning, and then, here I am getting ready to do my fast as well. It kicked you out? What happened there, Marty? He says, yeah, it kicked you out. What kicked you out? You got kicked out of the chat? What was going on there? Let me know, my man. All right, let's get back to this right here.
Built much of his career by knocking off Mexican fighters.
On the other hand, Floyd Mayweather Sr. was also enjoying a bit of success and respect in his boxing career. He too had fought a young Ray Leonard while the latter was still up and coming. All this was before a tragic family incident happened, though. You see, while Floyd was just 1 year old, his mother's brother would come to the house with a gun and shoot his father in the leg. Of course, this incident ended Floyd Sr.'s boxing career, and it points to just the kind of rough life Mayweather Jr. had growing up. According to Money Mayweather, his mother was almost always on drugs, and his dad only knew how to show tough love, beating him for every single thing. At some point, he had to move to his grandmother's.
I live with my mother, and, 7 of us lived in a 1-bedroom. At one particular time, my mother was on drugs. My dad been shot by my mother's brother. Sometimes I stay with my grandmother.
Floyd would later move back to Grand Rapids, Michigan with his father, and that was where his life in the boxing world really kicked off. He started getting trained by his dad, and you could trust the old man to translate all that tough love to some serious training regimen. He wouldn't waste time to cuss out and even hit his boy anytime the young lad made any mistake.
If I make a mistake, my dad, kind of, cuss me out, slap me, check me.
And it was that tough love that translated.
Okay, I want to talk about that for a second, okay? For those of you that are parents right now, I need you to understand that there is a balancing game that you have to play as a parent, okay? There's a balancing game that you have to play. If you traumatize them just a little bit, you make them stronger. But here's the thing. If you traumatize them enough or too much, perhaps maybe you could create a psychopath. But it is also no wonder why Floyd Mayweather had beef with his dad in his adult years. If you notice, Floyd Mayweather Sr. was training Oscar De La Hoya for a brief moment of time. By the way, one of the rivals of Floyd Mayweather. Now, why would he do that? Well, the reason why he would do that is because he had a strenuous relationship with his son. All I'm saying is there's consequences to what you do, but as parents, you have a balancing act, okay? You have a balancing act. Look, I'll give you an example. I have a cousin who lives in Egypt, right? His father, in my opinion, was way better than my father, okay? And let me explain what I mean by that. Was my father much more affluent than his brother? Yes. But my father's brother was more successful in terms of holding down a family. You see, my father, for example, was divorced. He married a non-Muslim woman, right? Left me in the West for me to, fend for myself. And in turn, this is what you got. a psychopath that lived from New Jersey to California and did psychopathic things. You understand? Whereas with my father's brother, my uncle, his family is all intact. His son, my cousin, is a dentist. One of them works in Oman as an executive for KFC, right? He's an executive for the offices of KFC in Oman. And then the daughter, my other cousin, is a doctor who's also married to a doctor. And they all live happily ever after. They are like the perfect nucleus family. You understand what I'm saying? But here's the thing. My uncle beat the living hell out of, you know, out of them when they got out of line. They all got beat when they got out of line. But they turned out great. So just to kind of give you guys an example that, hey, you know what? There is a balancing act that you must do as a parent, and you have to be very careful with that. So yeah, he says, yeah, children really need a good, strong father. I think Floyd Mayweather Sr. was that, but I think there was also some extremities that sort of came with it, right? That was a little bit too extreme. For example, the one example I could point out, okay, he said that he didn't allow Floyd to play basketball because he was scared that Floyd would get hurt. You know what? A lot of people think that's so oppressive to do that. Like, why would you prevent Floyd Mayweather from playing basketball? Guess what? You know Jamal Hill? You know why he got pulled out of a fight one time? Because he was playing basketball. You understand? So maybe Roger, I'm sorry, not Roger, that's his uncle. Floyd Mayweather Sr. had it right all along. Victory says her brother came for vengeance. Victory says, wonder if his dad got shot because he was beating his wife. That's a very good point, right? Back in those days, listen, that's a common thing. I know a lot of people love to get at John Jones for doing that. Also, Floyd Mayweather sort of had those domestic issues. Even Gervonta Tank Davis. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. If you've had, you know, your grandpa, and you look at your grandpa back in World War II days, you know, I'm sure they've, you know, put some hands on, you know, on that ass a few times, you know, to, you know, keep them in line. And guess what? They had happily ever after happy marriages along the way. Now, look, regardless of what you think about Muslims and the proto-stereotypical type that they throw at Muslims, understand that it's forbidden in the Quran for you to beat your spouse. However, it is not forbidden for you to discipline them. And that right there is what I mean by the balancing act that you must create both as a parent, a husband, and as the head of the household as a man. So it's a balancing act that you have to maintain to a certain degree.
Into a tough training regime.
People say that they're treating like you in a boot camp.
Now that we think about it, maybe that's how Money Mayweather really learned how to dodge and defend so well and fast. Anyways, his father has maintained that it has always been more about dedication and constant practice for him. According to the no-nonsense coach.
By the way, let me know in the comment section below, do you think Khabib got his ass beat when he was a kid by Abdul Manap? I know the answer to this, by the way, because I've showed you guys receipts that I've actually talked to Abdul Manap. You know, prior to him passing away, of course. I've talked to Abdul Manap. Victory says absolutely. There you go, man. There you go. So, you know, all this white liberal bullshit that people try to push on you, you know, or this and that, I don't know, man. I wouldn't listen to it, but at the same time, I get it. There are psychological reasons to not do it. But at the same time, what do you want to do? You want to have a child that, you know, wants to run wild and rampant? I mean, you know, that choice is entirely up to you, I suppose.
He started training his son, even when the lad was still a baby.
People say that they're treating like you in a boot camp. You know what? I gave him the day. Believe it or not, I started training my son when he was a baby, right in the crib. I took his hand and started doing that. Pretty soon, my son said,
correct, Marty. Children need structure and discipline, for sure.
after doing that on his own,
Little wonder the young champ could already do what 19-year-old boxers were still learning when he was just 10. Career and stardom. In his amateur level, Floyd Jr. accumulated an outstanding total of 84-6 fight record, winning the National Golden Gloves tournament 3 impressive times while at it. Of course, he had his father to thank for his early success in his career. It seemed like all that tough love and training had finally begun to pay off. Sadly, though, the older Mayweather would soon be convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison for a drug charge. This means that Floyd Jr. had to quickly mature and step into the responsibility of being a man at just 16 years of age.
I had to become a man at a young age, at 16. At 16, I had to provide for myself. Had to make a way for myself.
In the year 1996, Floyd got the opportunity of getting introduced to a global audience when he competed as a featherweight boxer in the Atlanta Olympics. Of course, he took that chance and gave the performance of his lifetime. But sadly, he lost out at the semifinals. Or, as his team put it then, he was cheated out.
We all know I got ripped off, I gotta live with it, I'm supposed to, take my bronze medal, go home, it's time for me to turn professional, I can't deal with this amateur.
Anyways, that event fueled Mayweather's passion to never taste defeat again, and it sparked the beginning of this boxer's legend. In October of 1996, the young lad had his first professional fight against Roberto Apodaca, and it was a complete smokeout as Mayweather destroyed Roberto in just 2 rounds. But he did not just stop there. He went on and on, beating just about any opponent that stood before him in the ring. By the time he was at 17 fights, the fast-rising boxer already had 13 knockouts and 17 wins. He was just too brutal and untouchable. Just 2 years after his first pro fight, on the 3rd of October 1998, Floyd Jr. got the chance to challenge for a title. And it was against Genaro Hernandez, who he had always seen as his idol. Of course, this fight seemed like a mismatch in every sense of the word, because Genaro had already been fighting for about 12 years before Floyd got his first pro fight. Genaro had more fights, had more experience, had the title, and had more momentum. All Floyd was bringing to the ring was a dogged belief and some wicked punch combinations like Hernandez hadn't seen before.
Hernandez has backed up against the ropes, just as Floyd told us he would, and Floyd going to work. Hand lands for Hernandez. Floyd comes back with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-punch combination.
But guess what? That was enough. After some gruesome 8 rounds of boxing, Genaro Hernandez's corner waved the white flag, and Floyd became the champion he was always destined to be. From here on, Mayweather fought several other top shots in the boxing industry, from Diego Corrales to Luis Castillo, Arturo Gatti, Oscar De La Hoya, Juan Manuel Marquez, Victor Ortiz, Marcos Maidana, Pacquiao, Conor McGregor, and many others. But one thing was constant in all of these fights. He never lost any of them, not even a single one. At the end of his career, he had completed 50 fights without recording a single loss. No doubt about it, this legendary fighter had quite the career that anyone would ever dream of, and he's one of the greatest ever to ever do it in the ring. His legacy as a fighter will forever be told in golden words. However, his legacy outside the ring is where the real issues may arise. Even though Floyd Money Mayweather has enjoyed a legendary status career, that hasn't shielded him from getting into various controversies and public spats with dozens of people. Starting with his own promoter, Bob Arum, who he accused of sabotaging his success and not providing enough support for his growing career, to his own dad, romantic partners, fellow fighters like Oscar De La Hoya, Pacquiao, Logan, and Jake Paul, amongst many others. However, one fallout that seems to be the loudest and most drawn out is the one he has with 50 Cent.
Spade to spade. It's a special ASLELS challenge for you, Floyd. If you can read one full page of a Harry Potter book, nigga, I'll give $750,000 to whatever charitable organization you want to. Fuck the buck now.
According to the rapper, they were almost the closest of friends for a long time, until Mayweather went to jail and 50 Cent had to step in and help in managing the fighters' businesses. He did a good job at this, and even injected some of his personal funds into these businesses, hoping to get refunded when his boxer friend comes out of jail. Unfortunately, though, the friendship turned sour when Floyd got out and refused to pay up. So from being friends, the two celebrities went to becoming public enemies, calling themselves out and washing their dirty undies in public.
And then are we talking over $2 million? It's about that. Oh, okay. At that point, it was, invested in. All right. So look, he goes, when he finally does bring up the actual the situation, he acted like he didn't know anything. Like, I didn't tell y'all to do that. I didn't tell you to do that. And I'm looking at him.
Now, is it even surprising that the bone of contention here is money again? Anyways, we will let you be the judge. What next for Mr. The Best Ever? For now, though, we can only be grateful that our boxing legend, Floyd Money Mayweather, hasn't gotten to the point of filing for bankruptcy. The man has even come out to counter all the rumors about himself and his businesses going broke.
People are entitled to judge me for...
Yes, I have watched the TV series Kingdom. It's an MMA movie, right? He says, yeah, I liked his pretty boy style more than money, for sure. Because back then he had knockout power, and eventually his hands started giving out on him, as a result of that. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Yes, I've seen that a couple of years ago. I don't know if they have any newer episodes or anything like that, but if they do, let me know. Yeah, I don't think they've came up with anything new yet so far, but yeah. Okay.
What they hearsay. Making assumptions. Just because I never came out and said, oh, let me explain, I don't have to explain it to nobody.
But then, whatever the case is, it is evident that there is some problem with the money empire, and Floyd has got to act swiftly before it all blows up and gets worse. Firstly, he has to be honest to himself and tone down on the show-off. I mean, he's already almost 50 and no longer a kid, so that lifestyle doesn't fit anymore. He also has to reduce the unnecessary expensive and extravagant buys.
Yes.
You're 40 years of age. Dress your age. Carrying a school bag on stage. What are you doing with a school bag on stage? You can't even read. 40 years old carrying a school bag. The man doesn't even...
Yo, McGregor roasted him on that one big time, man.
Brawl, he needs to learn financial responsibility and money management. The careless style of living can only serve a person for so long. And we bet it has done that for Mr. Mayweather. Now, it's time to maintain a better legacy as the legend that he is.
All right, so now that that's over, what I would like to say in regards to that, I'm going to cap this off. I'm going to let the stream rock on for a little bit, let you guys watch me play a little bit of some GTA Online. What I'm going to say about that is this, right? Okay, number one, a lot of people out there need to learn financial literacy. They need to learn financial literacy and also financial discipline. More importantly, right? You need to learn financial discipline. How that is and how you're going to do that, you have to learn that on your own. I'm not a financial channel. I certainly can't give you a one-size-fits-all answer because only you know what it is that you need to do. Also, another thing, right? This is a reminder for us all, also a reminder for myself. You got to learn to be humble because you never know when all of this is going to be gone. Floyd Mayweather has been arrogant for a long time, and I can toss it up as to say, well, people are just jealous, they're haters, but by the end of the day, karma is real, and Allah humbles those that are not humbled. And that is all that I have to say about that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. I'll keep the stream going on for a bit. Maybe smoke some people online on GTA real quick and then call it a day. I'll see you guys in the next one. And Ramadan Kareem to everyone around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you, inshallah. Confirmed kill. There it is, man. Confirmed kill. One confirmed kill. Oh! He got me there. That was good. Okay. He got me on that one. God damn it, man. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. Nice, got him. He got me as well. I'm gonna shoot out in the middle of Hollywood. Oh shit. Dang, man.
What's up, pal? Okay, I can deal with it. There, you'll have a minute.
GTA. Got him. Confirmed kill. Got him. Payback. Oh, shoot. Okay, we got to get up out of here. Now it's time to leave. Wow, we got 2 kills on that one. Thank you, brother. Man. That was a kill from the cops, not from the, take this car. God damn it, man. Damn it, man. I walked in on that one. Boom, got him. Got him. I only blew myself up in the process.
What can I do for you? I take it this isn't purely a social call. Of course not. You're in trouble and you need my help. No problem.